Hello, hello. Are we live?
Now we're
There we
live.
go. Now we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Learn Tarot with Scott and Sara. Thank you for joining us today. Scott has me in charge.
Yes.
How is everybody doing?
Good to see
Scott?
everybody.
Yes. How are you doing today, Scott?
Great. I got my new office chair fixed, so I am doing great.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that was given to me by a couple of moderators. So,
That's wonderful. I love that. Thank you guys for um, doing that for him so he can have a
yeah,
nice, comfortable place to sit. That's amazing.
they spoil me. Yes.
That's good, but you spoil us too with all of your generosity and your readings,
Well, thank
just
you.
being available and helping everybody. So you deserve it.
Well, thank you.
All right, should we say hi to some people?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we have Jenny. Hello, Jenny. Thank you for joining us today. And then we have uh,
Dandika.
Thandika. Thandika, thank you for helping me with that. I didn't want to. Jackie Jackaranda. Hello, hello. Carolyn Loving Life. Hello. And then Thandika again. Oh, that's a double one. Double whammy. Sometimes the lines get weird. Do, 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 do. Violet Strange. Hello. Thank you for joining us. And we have, can you help me with this one too?
Gretchen Burton.
Gretchen.
Hey,
See,
Gretchen.
I cannot read. My brain is not. And then Priscilla.
Hi, Priscilla.
Thank you for joining us. You know, my dyslexia is just like kicking my butt lately. It is insane. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. So today we have chosen the cards to go over. We're going to do Strength and Temperance, the Six of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles. And again, any cards that you would like for us to go over, please just put it in the chat, and we will definitely go over those cards. And any information or insights that you have towards the cards that we're going to discuss today, we love that too. We love the interaction with the chat and discovering new meanings. I was rewatching some of the previous episodes to make sure I got the cards, and oh yes, that's amazing, because you can kind of pay more attention to what's going on when you rewatch it. So I always learn as well.
I need to do that. So I haven't done that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually rewatch my videos, so I need to start.
These ones are fun to rewatch. I was like, wow. You know, it is. It's a really fun show to watch. I was proud of us, Scott, because it was really fun to watch.
That's cool. Yes.
All right.
And just so everybody knows, there are no private readings today during this live anyway. So I may be back tonight, but this is just for you guys to participate and let us know what you think about the cards. Let us know if you have a card. And yeah, so just like Sara said, just repeating it.
Yeah, even if it's a card that we've previously discussed, there's always more you can go into. And of course, we probably forgot what we said about it before.
Probably.
We were discussing, we're like, I don't know what we did. So the first card, I don't know, I really felt called to go over Strength today. It just kind of felt like a really good day for discussing the Strength card. Like the energy just matches it today for some reason for me. I'm not sure. But let's start with Strength. So Scott, I'm going to let you start with your interpretation of the Strength card.
Okay. Well, when I first started I had like one word for each of the cards, and courage was always for strength, I believe. But as I've, matured with the tarot, I like to say that strength is kindness, tenderness, gentleness, and patience. It's those things that bring out true strength within us instead of what you can lift at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I usually say about strength. And it's also great to have that towards yourself and towards others, because it's just like a karma card. It'll bounce right back to you, boomerang right back to you.
Yes.
So you'll have those things coming, into your life if you put that out into the universe. Hey, Viviani.
Hi, Viviani.
Gotcha.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Strength is one of those cards. One definition that I was taught that really stuck with me for the strength card was grace under pressure.
Oh,
I really love that definition. Like it's kind of like you have the inner strength and inner wisdom to deal with situations without using your teeth and your claws, even though you definitely can. You just choose not to. That interpretation I really love. And of course having courage, um, but but a lot of times it takes more courage to bite your lip and close your mouth than it does to lash out. Like a tiger might in some situations. And it's having, just looking at the card, it's having it's just the absence of fear, which on its own is a wonderful thing to have, because fear leads to so many problems. Fear causes a lot of issues in a lot of different situations. Fear of the unknown, fear of something. It's just strength is kind of also that absence of fear.
right.
So you don't have those like inner thoughts, that are going through your head.
Right.
Yeah.
And we feel like fear is real, but I always see it as an illusion. It's hard to see that when you're in the middle of it, but if you see it as an illusion and fear, false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on with saying that's the opposite of strength, because that's the lowest vibration, and strength is way up there with the higher vibrations like gentleness and kindness and tenderness.
Yeah.
Love.
And another thing that kind of just hit me when I was looking at the difference between these two cards. Like she's there, got her hand in the lion's mouth. This guy is riding the lion. It's also um it's also almost giving me kind of that, this is going to sound a little weird, but kind of that full energy. Not like they're a fool, but just they don't have those fears. They have the courage. They know themselves well enough to go through life not having to I don't want to say not being careful, because that's not what it's saying, but they don't go through life expecting the worst, if that makes sense. Like they just have that optimism about, like, if they're planning a trip, they're planning it to be amazing versus planning everything that could go wrong. So it's that kind of energy as well.
Right. Right. I don't know how to get it back. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see if I can get it back. Strength, come here.
And Jackie says trust vibes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The trust vibes for sure. Were you able
I
to get
don't
it
know
back up
why.
there?
I don't know why it went away, but
Oh no.
maybe this one.
Oh,
No.
because it was still there. I just hit
There
remove
we
and went back. Yeah, because it was still highlighted for some reason.
go. Okay, awesome. And Zach is here. Hi, Zach.
Hello, hello. And I saw Kelly come in too.
Hey, Kelly.
Hello. Hello, hello. So that is the strength card. It's just one of those. I just really love when that card comes up in any reading. It always gives me that hopefulness, you know?
And another thing that you mentioned, you mentioned the Fool, and it reminds me of the Fool because if you see, this is pretty close to the Rider Waite, but
Hmm.
you can see that infinity symbol up
Yep.
above her. It's in the
Hmm.
Rider Waite too, and I think of the Fool as infinity. It just keeps going and going because
Yes, that
it's the
circle.
Fool's journey,
Hmm.
and then it goes through the world, and then a new cycle begins, and it starts all over again.
Yep,
I like that.
absolutely. You learn the lesson and then you go on to learn your next one and it just keeps going. Absolutely. All right. So the second card, did anybody have any? I didn't see any other comments.
I just thought this was interesting. Gretchen said Gavin de Becker wrote a book entitled The Gift of Fear. That's
Mm.
interesting.
Ooh, wonder what that book's about. Yeah, we'll have to check that one out.
Yeah,
Sometimes fear is necessary as long as it doesn't consume you.
right. To help give us a little bit of caution, maybe?
Yeah. Does tarot give very different results than astrology? Ooh. Um, I think they're very useful tools hand in hand.
Hmm.
But astrology, I'm not very well versed in astrology. I just dabble in the very basics, but it's always intrigued me. And when I had a full birth chart reading, I was floored by the information that was like everything just kind of made sense of who I am and why I do things I do. So it's kind of just like for personal astrology, it's like a roadmap to who you are. And then tarot can guide you along the way as you're going through the journey of life. It can be just kind of a tool to help give those insights. And then astrology can give you an understanding as to why you would react to a certain situation the way you're doing it. Or depending on if you're just doing astrology for, let's say, like the planetary alignments and the energy of the collective, it could also give you, um, could do the same thing. Tarot could give you insights as to what's happening, and the astrology could help you understand why something might be happening. Um, like Mercury retrograde, everybody kind of like cringes when retrograde's coming. Um, but tarot can kind of help you guide that a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's both. I think that it can give very different results, but I think it can go hand in hand and you use it together as well. So just like every tarot card has a astrological symbol that goes with it. So you can use it like that. And then you could just dive into astrology and leave tarot on the side and learn a lot. So both of them are full of a lot of learning things that you can combine or leave separate.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your question, Linda, Sarah.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And Gretchen says the book is about various types of fear and circumstances. He provided security for high profile people. I was just having this conversation. We were just having a conversation last night about how it started with John Lennon, but about how people who grew up famous, because he started very young. He was a teenager when he started the Beatles, and then they grew to. So he was famous for a very long time, and people who have a lot of money, they just live in a different world. And like the things that they worry about are way different than the things that we have to worry about. Like we might be worrying about paying our bills, doing this, or they might have to worry about stalkers and weird like stuff that would not really affect us. So it's just kind of interesting to look at the dynamics between different, I'm just going to say, types of people.
Yeah.
Versus like, social economics or whatever, but it is interesting. That'd be interesting to see like what these high profile people had to worry about versus what we have to worry about.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. Okay, so then the next card the next card that we chose was Temperance. This card, I love this card when it comes up in a reading. But Scott, we'll let you go first with your interpretation of Temperance.
Well, when I first started, it was internal balance. So, the mixing of the cups there and having balance within, like emotional balance, but internal. And since then, I have kind of adapted the peace and harmony and patience. So I think it's about having peace and harmony and then combining them internally. And you need patience to do that. So I think it's a little bit of all of that, but balance as well. So.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that is very dependent on, it has its core like meaning, like if you were just using it as a standalone card, it's that balancing all things. And if it like, for most of the time when I get it, it's like that work-life balance. Or if it's a relationship, make sure that the relationship is balanced, like make sure you're giving as much as you're getting and vice versa. But I pulled the six of wands, and once we get to the 6 of wands, I'll come back to Temperance and how I interpret those two cards when they play together. But this is one card that does have, for me, different meanings depending on the circumstances. Like sometimes it's saying you need balance. Sometimes it's saying make sure there's balance. Sometimes it's a warning, hey, you need to get your act together because you have to. And sometimes it's like saying calm down. To me, it just has a lot of different interpretations depending on what cards come with it.
Right. Yeah, the Intuit deck here gives the definitions on the side. It basically says everything that we just said pretty much. Union of opposites, perfecting balance, moderation, purposeful, harmony, tranquil, patience, alchemy, balance, and peace.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's definitely good with balance. And yeah, that's really good that we're doing the 2 of coins too, because that's, to me, is balance as well.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to jump into that or do the other one.
Yeah, let's just go right to the 2.
So the 2 I see as, balancing home, work, relationship, friendships. I think you mentioned that with Temperance as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a lot like that. But it can be flexibility and adaptability as well. Are 2 new definitions that added to balance. So making sure you have that balance in your life. And also you got the ships back there, and you can refer to those ships as they're not sinking, and there's always like a heavy wave back there. There's heavy waves. It's almost like a storm, but they're not sinking. They are standing there tall on the water. And so that just reminds me of balance as well, and what this card represents.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sarah?
Really quick, I want to touch on this question. Temperance can mean union of opposites? Question mark. Yes, temperance can mean union of opposites, and the way I interpret that is sometimes, like in a relationship, whether it's romantic or a work relationship or a friendship, there's always two different, like the best relationships are opposites if you think about it. Like if you were with somebody who thought and acted and lived life exactly like you might get a little bit bored. So having someone who it is opposite of you but balances you out, that's kind of how it harmonizes in that situation, where it keeps you interested. You get to learn things from this person, versus both of you just doing the same stuff. So that's kind of how, the union of opposites, you know how they say opposites attract,
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing. That's the meaning of temperance when it comes to union of opposites to me.
Yeah, and she said almost like a yin and yang thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
Sarah said it beautifully. So it's, yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so the two, yeah, this one to me is always, um, it's always that balance. But since it's a two, it's a smaller number. So it could be, um, let's say like the two of wands would be like baby steps, like, slow, like the next baby step forward. The two of wands is, or the two of pentacles, excuse me, is balance, but it could also be, um, the beginning stages of that balance, like learning how to balance stuff, because it's a young too. So it's not like temperance where it's more mature, in my opinion. It's very new. So you see how he's juggling, and even in this card they're kind of juggling, and one is higher than the other, so they're not quite balanced yet. So this could also be interpreted as learning to do balance, learning how to balance, maybe asking for what you need and maybe giving a little bit more than you used to. So that kind of thing, like a learning. If it was a financial situation, it could be that initial, maybe a younger person starting out their, like leaving home for the first time, starting out their life, learning how to balance their, what they want to do with their responsibilities, type of thing.
And there again, we have the infinity symbol,
Mm-hmm.
which is present in the strength card, linking those two together. So
And then let's see, this one says, is the boat pointing at each other, coming towards each other, mean anything? Uh, it's hard to tell. It does kind of look like they're kind of going at each other, doesn't it? Like, or like they're gonna. It's hard to see if the one on, it's my left, is the little one is facing the same way, or if it's going the opposite direction. It's kind of hard to see.
yeah, I don't
I've
know.
never really,
That's
I've
a
never
great
really thought
question.
about that one. That is a really great. Why don't you tell us your interpretation of, for me, if you're going to ask me right now, it would kind of back up that it's just kind of showing that it's not quite balanced yet. So if you see how the smaller boat is on the side that's tipped higher, then the bigger boat is tipped lower. So it could mean that the bigger boat is dragging the smaller boat, is like taking more, like dragging it down, or it could mean that the smaller boat isn't quite getting enough. I'm not sure. It would be, that's a really interesting, I've never noticed it before.
Me either. And Jackie said one boat looks further in the distance. Yeah, the smaller one could be further in the
Yeah,
distance. Yeah, that's a great point.
absolutely. And then Jackie said, juggling successfully, work, home relationships, not dropping the ball. Absolutely. So if you get a reading and it has both the Two of Pentacles and Temperance in that reading, that's a very strong push towards finding that balance, for sure. And then one seems more further ahead than the smaller one. Yeah, they're just not quite meeting up. And then the next card that we decided was high four was the Six of Pentacles.
Six of Wands.
Or Six of Wands, excuse me.
No problem.
That happens during your reading sometimes. I'll see one card and then read it as another, but it's okay because what I was supposed to see was the six. So what is your interpretation of the Six of Wands?
Victory. So always victory. And
victory.
Then I say, that the only thing you need with this card to make it continue is gratitude. Gratitude brings in more victory and more abundance to you. So just make sure you're being grateful for the victorious times that you have. This one says confidence boost, milestone, victory, recognition, success, pride of achievement, and congratulations. So some different views on that, but I always put victory in there. What about you?
Yeah, victory, but I like to read this one as getting recognition for your accomplishments, like praise, like getting seen for your hard work, that type of that kind of, it's a victory, but it's kind of getting those accolades and those kudos for doing a job well done. And see, this one is just, she's being praised. I feel like she just won a war or something in this one because she's got her armor on and everyone else doesn't, and they're kind of cheering her in this victory. So she's feeling that success and she's getting recognized publicly. So that could mean public recognition. So if someone was asking, let's say, am I going to get a raise? And I got the Six of Wands, I would say not 100% definite, but it looks like you are going to get noticed for your hard work. So if this was a time for a possible raise, I would say that it looks really good because you are going to get noticed. Now, what I wanted to talk about with, why did I have, that's so weird. That's the Three of Wands. When I wanted to talk about was the Six of Wands. If the Six of Wands came in a reading with Temperance, that might tell me you're getting praised, you're getting kudos, accolades, but don't get a big head about it. Don't let it go to your ego and start acting like, your stuff doesn't stink, because that could be a downfall. So those two together, that's kind of how I would read those two together, is kind of like, yes, take the accolades, make sure that you are accepting the praise, but don't get it, don't let it go to your head.
All right. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And Jackie says, sharing victory, celebrating with others, rewards recognition. Mm-hmm.
With the king of what? What do you mean, mystic? With the king of what? You talking about the Six of Wands?
Oh, it was the Six of Wands and the Temperance card.
Right. She said with a king of what? I didn't know what she meant there.
Okay.
Oh, she said temperance, not king.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 cards that we picked today. Does anybody have any cards that they would like? Otherwise, we can just pick some others.
Yeah, what kind of cards throw you off when you get them in a reading? Just list 1 or 2 or whatever comes to your mind.
It's funny because when I was pulling through this deck, I pulled the 3 of Wands instead of the Courage card. Now I'm trying to find the Courage card because the 3 of Wands had a lion on it, and I just went straight for the lion.
Batmom says, what about the one that has swords in the back of the man laying down? What is that one? That's the Ten of Swords.
10 of Swords. Does this not have a Courage card? That's weird. It's gone. Oh, this is why. Okay, so the Strength card. This is the Strength card. That's why I was like, what the heck?
Oh, okay. That's different.
That is much different than the Strength card with the lion.
A lion, yeah.
This is showing me a lot of mental capacity. Like this one almost looks like that person's stressing out because he's got a lot of wires in his head. And then the angel's coming to help give him strength. The 10 of Swords.
Yeah, 10 of Swords is, I think, what she's talking about. And this can mean ruin. But I love this card in a way because it's about a new beginning. There's always a sunrise, or there should be a sunrise in the back of this card. You can see the yellow peeking through. And that is saying that there's a new dawn, a new day coming, a new beginning. The 10 of Swords wraps around to the Ace of Swords, which the Ace of Swords is clarity, a new opportunity, a new beginning. So, and seeing clearly for the first time. So it's actually the end of something negative and the beginning of something better, because there's no true death in the tarot, because we keep going. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, it's definitely an ending. A lot of people interpret the 10 of Swords as being stabbed in the back.
Right.
And the way that I interpret that is the way I interpret the stabbed in the back, it's not, yes, you have been through the ringer. You have been through something tragic where it feels like maybe everyone was against you. You might be in a situation where you've lost trust, but it's a very hard lesson that you have. What's going on out there? A very hard lesson that you had to learn in this cycle, and it ends with feeling completely defeated and feeling like you've hit rock bottom in a sense. But once you go back around to that ace, you're going to see things in a whole new light.
Mentally drained,
The
yeah.
harder endings for a cycle. Some readers don't use reverse cards. Some do. Is that necessary? No. A lot of readers. A lot of readers do not use reversals. Do you use reversals, Scott?
No, but if I have all my cards, so that they're upright, and I only
Mhm.
shuffle them upright. So if a reversed gets in there, is something wrong? It's weird. So I will read on that.
Okay.
But that rarely happens with me where I get one that's reversed. Sometimes I will just turn it around and read it the correct way, not correct way, but the straightforward way. What
Yeah,
about you?
it depends for me. I generally do read reversals, um, but my cards. I think my cards and I are just kind of at an impasse. I've been using the same decks over and over, so everything is coming out reversed for me. So I just started
Wow.
ignoring it. I was like, okay, every card that I pulled was reversed. So this is they're just bored with me at this point. So I will read reversals, but um, the way I read it is if which with the message that I'm getting, which way makes sense. So it's kind of like if the reverse definition is necessary, I will use that. But if it comes reversed and it's the upright meaning is coming through, then I'll read it as upright. So it's more using your intuition versus saying, "Oh no," if you
Right.
get if you get a certain card reversed, it's not all terrible, but it just
Sometimes it can be even better.
yes, a lot of times like the 10 of wands, 10 of swords reversed is a lot more positive than, well, depending on how you interpret it. For me, the 10 of swords reversed means that you've already made your way through. Like
Mhm.
you have been there, you're back onto that cycle of healing already.
That
Instead
new
of letting
beginning.
yeah, it's already started for you. But the 9 of cups, let's say, that is wishes fulfilled. I have two definitions for the 9 of cups reversed. So um, the 9 of cups is wishes fulfilled. You're getting what you want. But if it's reversed, it could mean that you're not getting what you want. But it could also mean that someone is heavily overindulging in, let's say, partying or whatever. Like if I had the 9 of cups with the devil, I might say you're overdoing it a little bit. You need to tone it back. So that could be um, there's just different ways to interpret the reversals. You just have to find what resonates with you. Because a lot of when I was learning, there was a lot of definitions that I was finding, and then I was watching different readers, and I was like, I don't like that. Like
Right.
I wouldn't feel comfortable using that in my readings. So um, yeah, you gotta figure out what you love.
Violet's asking if you don't use reversals, is there an upright card with the same meaning for all the cards? I think that's a yes and no as
If you
well.
don't use them upright.
There are some that if and Sarah will know better than me, but because she does read reversals. But I think that there is some cards that are very similar upright that are reversed. But then there's some definitions of the reversed which I don't think are in the upright. So that's how I look at it.
Is that what she's asking? If the
I think
definitions are the
so.
same, upright and reversed?
I think she just means like upright in general, with the same meaning for all the cards. Um, if you don't use reversals, when you're looking at a reversed card and you're getting, a new beginning, is there another card in the deck that means a new beginning? I
Oh
think is
yeah,
what she's saying.
there's a lot of cards that would mean. Please let us know if that's the correct interpretation of the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that mean new beginning. And yeah, if you don't read reversals, like a lot of times, okay, she said yes, that's what you meant. Yeah, if you had the only thing I would say, like if you had the 10 of swords um versus, like, for me, like the 10 of swords and the tower and death are more similar to me because they're endings, right? They're endings, and it just kind of, each sword would represent a different type of ending. Like one might be a little more uncomfortable than another, so that's how I would so they're the same, but they just have a little bit of a different kind of spice to them um, when you're doing a reading with the card. And the 10, of course, a lot of people interpret the pip cards as just something that you're dealing with right now. It's quick, it's not really that big of a deal, versus the majors, where it would be the death and the tower, are more of a kind of a theme, like an over, like, help me with my words here, Scott. It's more intense, and it's gonna kind of be linger longer than like a pip card would, like a minor would. So it's more, it's to be taken a little bit more seriously, I guess, if it was a major. If
Right.
that even made sense.
No, that makes sense to me. I was just reading this one question here, and it's very interesting. I don't know that I have the answer, but Batmom, you're Tessa, right? Batmom, Tessa? If you believe that angels or God is speaking through the cards, wouldn't you need to read what is put down? So that would include reversals, you're saying. If there are the same meanings that could represent the upside card, then wouldn't that correct card be put down and not the upside down card?
So I don't think God or angels are coming through um, personally, when I'm like specifically um, coming through in the reading. But for when you first get your deck, and before I go into a reading, I kind of I'll say, today I only want messages for the highest good. Like before we do YouTube, I make a deal with my cards, and I say I only want messages that you can say on YouTube, because it's such a it's such a public forum, and some readings just shouldn't, they're too personal for this type of forum. So I ask my cards to only give me, my guides only give me messages that can be said publicly, and then I will let them know if I want to use uprights or reversals. Because some people, you make that deal with your deck, say I will only read the cards upright, so please only, like, I'm going to interpret them upright. So if you say that before you go in to do your reading, that's what I do, is I kind of let them know what I want. Because sometimes if I'm doing like a mediumship reading, I'll put in there, I'm going to be doing mediumship, so if I get a court card upside down, that is the guide coming through. That is the family member coming through, the deceased person. So that's how I work with my cards. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, like I said, the reversed, I usually don't use at all, but I would like to learn the definitions. So sometimes I'll turn them around and just go for the the one definition that's, upright. And sometimes if they come out reversed and there's a meaning that sticks in my head, it's like, no, this is different because of this, then I'll leave it reversed. So it's really your own choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's your own decision. It's how you communicate with spirit, I think, and how spirit is telling you to interpret the cards. The way I interpret, the Ten of Swords reversed is going to be probably different than how Sarah does. It's going to be different than how Jackie does. It's going to be different than how Violet does. It could have some similarities, but more than often there's different meanings. Who's right? Who's wrong? No one. Where it's all given to us from spirit, so that what is coming across as the truth that you have in yours, that you're feeling from spirit, that is the truth for that person that you're reading for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the best point. Is any divination tool you use, whether it's cards, tarot cards, oracle cards, pendulum, divining rods, or just strictly channeled messages, they're all just tools. So the message is going to come through as it comes through. So sometimes if I'm doing a reading, the cards, they're a guide to what the message is. And sometimes I've actually had cards come through that meant nothing in the reading. Or the message I was getting was absolutely different than the card. So the card was just there. A lot of times when I'm doing readings, I'll say that they're just like the beginning of the sentence. And then you get into the message will start coming through. It all depends on how you get your messages as well.
And Rossi's has a good point. Hi, Rossi. The question and the combination of the cards change the interpretation too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. I agree with you, Jackie.
Yeah, you always want to follow your intuition and what the messages that are coming through as well, for sure.
Right.
And a lot of times, there's so many different ways to interpret the cards. That's why it's best to just pick the definitions that resonate with you. And we've said this numerous times, like sometimes sometimes we'll look at a card and it'll mean one thing in a reading, and then the next reading, if we pull the same card, it has a completely different meaning. So it's not like the cards. This is why I was so hesitant to learn tarot, because in my mind, it was rigid. It's not like reading Lenormand, where it's literally like you lay the cards down and the cards mean one thing. In a way, like they're open to interpretation. So when I was first learning tarot, I thought, I don't know if I could do this because it's so rigid and you have to know the exact definition that everyone else knows. And it wasn't till I released that understanding is when the cards really started speaking to me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Hey, Trista.
Hello. Okay. Did anybody have any other questions on a card or anything else?
General. Yeah, you guys had some great questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is one that we missed. What if the cards fall onto the floor? I know some readers see that as something the person didn't see coming. Yeah, it's all dependent on the reader's interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
If, like when I pull cards, I shuffle, and then I just use the cards I just pull the cards from the top, because that's how the agreement I have with my cards. So I'm going to shuffle and then pull the 4 cards, because I always pull 4 cards, and that's going to be the message, unless I need more. But if one does come flying out, I always set that aside and see how it's supposed to fit into the reading. Like, see what, a lot of times it'll be, it could be an urgent thing that they have to see. It could be interpreted a lot of different ways, but you never really ignore, unless like the whole deck falls. I've had that where I'm shuffling and like the whole deck
Yeah.
falls in my lap. Then, then you just put it back and start shuffling. But if one does decide to just come flying out, that's definitely a card that needs to be read.
Yeah, like if I have several that fall out on the floor, I'll turn them over and then I will just pick out of that deck, out of the deck that fell on the floor, or the cards that fell on the floor, not on the ones who did or did not. So it's really up to, again, like Sara said, it's up to your interpretation and what works for you, and what feels right in the moment.
Yeah.
So that's your spirit coming through and telling you what to do, so that you can get the right answers for yourself or someone else.
Yeah, and she said, I had that happen once, and Sense Spirit was saying, look at this. Yeah, they're absolutely saying, pay attention to this card. It's important. And sometimes it matches and sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at for sure. I have, when I do my reading, I always pull the same. I shuffle and then I pull the top 4 cards. And then if anything flies out, I consider that an extra, like an addition or something else to pay attention to, versus just the regular cards. So when you get going, you're going to have your way of shuffling. You're going to have your way of interpreting the cards. You're going to have your way of dealing the cards. Some people like to use spreads. Some people like to just pull cards. It's all going to vary. And as long as it feels authentic to you, the messages are going to come through. That's the lesson I had to learn, because I was trying to do it someone else's way. And I was like, man, I suck at this.
Yeah, it's your own way, and that you come to terms with as you're learning, and it's always changing for me. You can get different interpretations, like on the last show, when Sara was mentioning before stage about the Hierophant. I never looked at the Hierophant as protection. And Nate just said one day, this, you're protected. You got the Hierophant, and put it back down. And I was like, whoa, I've got to find out what that is, first of all, why he said that. So I emailed him and he told me, and it made perfect sense. So I've got a new definition for the Hierophant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's always changing. I wanted to say hi to Jan and Annie and Linda.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
And Sippy Steele says, I always trust spirit when it gives me a jumper. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even a poker sometimes when they're poking out, and there's one that's poking out that's like, why are you not facing, the same way as like, you got 3 cards and one's like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pick this one.
Or even if you're shuffling and one just happens to be facing the wrong way. I mean, there's lots of different ways that they get your attention.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that speaks, I listen. Yeah. Yes, and see, this is. I love that she said, "I listen to what I hear." Your clairs come through when you're doing a reading. Whichever ones are stronger. Like for me, I'm clairaudient as well, and I'm clairsentient, so I get feelings, and I don't know, things just come through. And you just have to trust. You just have to trust what you're getting. So it's just tarot. It's just a tool. I think it's just a divination tool that helps you get the messages through, in a specific, like in a way that helps you get the message through. I don't know why I said it that way. That was weird, but yeah, it's not. It's yeah. That was the hardest thing for me to learn. Was it doesn't, just because if you use your tarot deck one way and someone else uses it a different way, that is absolutely okay. Because no one is meant to, you don't see things the same, you don't understand things the same. But what the beautiful thing about it is you can learn from each other. Like Scott learned definitions, a new definition that he never thought of before with the Hierophant. And I learned, so many different ways of looking at cards, even just by taking this class, or by doing this show with Scott. It's just, you learn all the time because someone comes into your life and says, well, this is how I do it. And you're like, oh my gosh, where has that been all my life? I should have been doing it that way for the entire time. It makes so much sense now.
Right.
Yeah, what I hear and what I feel, absolutely. Let's see. I get so annoyed when somebody tells me that the card doesn't mean that. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. There's just I was having this conversation yesterday too. Okay, I just pulled the Ace of Swords. So Scott and I have different interpretations for swords. He has, what's your definition for the Ace of Swords?
Clarity and seeing clearly and a new beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and new thoughts, because swords are thoughts.
I guess our definition isn't that different. It's different after all. So yeah, absolutely. Like the Ace of Swords is like new ideas coming through, new thoughts, and they're happening swiftly because swords are air, right? And air. A lot of people interpret swords as air travel, like different cards, because it's so quick. But yeah, it's new thoughts, new ideas coming through, new like this guy looks like he's writing a book. He's got his Ace of Swords in there. But this can be interpreted many different ways. And it doesn't really matter how you interpret the card, as long as the message that comes through is, the message that's supposed to come through.
I see the Ace of Swords as a pen, an old ink pen, that has like the feather on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a deck that has that on there, so
yeah.
That goes with what you were saying.
Yeah, inspiration, absolutely. That's that aha moment, right? That's the Ace of Swords. And that's how I see it. Okay, I'm so glad you're talking about this. I've been really hesitant to read because my interpretations are not always what other people say is. No, absolutely. There's no right or wrong way.
Right.
And if people are telling you that it has to be one way, then they're just not for you. Like, you don't have to. You just say that's great, and then move on and do what you're going to do, because how the cards come through for you is exactly how they're supposed to come through for you in a reading.
Right.
Let's see. What does this one say? Did spirit energy actually direct you to pick a certain card, or did the card pop out through the shuffle with spirit's influence spontaneously?
I think it's both.
Yeah, because when you're shuffling the cards, when I shuffle the cards, I'm saying the person's name in my head over and over as I'm shuffling. So I shuffle like 5 or 6 times, and I say that person's name in my head, and I'll ask the question that they asked. So that is putting me in connection with the energy of the reading. So, and I have nothing else in my mind except for that person and their question. And I've already made the agreement with my cards how I'm going to pull my cards out. So I just do my shuffle and then I pull the cards, and whatever comes out is the message. And a lot of times when I'm doing readings, you'll see me staring at the cards, actually, because I don't read the cards necessarily as they come out in like 1, 2, 3, 4. I look and I wait till the message comes through. Like I said, they all came out reversed just now. I told you. So all the cards came out reversed.
Need a new deck.
Then I look at it and I look for the message. Like one card will usually pop out at me, and that'll be the beginning of the message for me. And then it'll just flow. And then I don't even look at the cards, but that's how I read. And everyone does it a little differently. Let's see. In some decks, let's see what she says. And some decks don't even have the same energy. Absolutely. I was talking with Scott about this. I will not buy decks with any sort of negative imagery in it, because I don't want that to influence the reading for me. So I really like the basic, like the Rider-Waite. I really love just the basic cards because I don't really like to be influenced by the imagery as much. And if it's a negative imagery, I might have a tendency to start seeing negative things in the cards. And that's just my personal preference.
All right.
So, and absolutely different decks have different energy. Let's see. I had someone tell me not to use certain decks because it was too unconventional and had different meanings. They said anyone who knows tarot would respect me as a reader, wouldn't respect me as a reader. I do not agree. And this is where we get into that that area where there are certain people who, I like to call them the tarot hipsters. You know how hipsters back in the day just knew everything. Like I lived, like when I was in my 20s, there was a scene of people who really like into the indie scene, and they knew everything and their opinion was the only one that mattered. But that matters to them, but it doesn't matter to everyone else. So if someone's telling you that that there's only one way and no one will respect you as a reader for doing something that seems intuitively correct for you, you have to look at them as a reader and find out why they're saying that to you. And if that's someone that you need to be taking advice from. Let's see. I do the same thing. I use the person's name in the questions. Yeah. It definitely makes that connection a little bit better. Yeah, and now I do readings with old maid cards. Whatever resonates with you.
Some people use playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use old maid
cards.
Yeah.
I use whatever deck speaks to me, and I have some dark decks. I read them as what you should be aware of or avoid doing. That's a really good interpretation of the dark cards. Not that they're negative on the person. Yeah, that's really good. Like a deck for like warnings, like something to look out for. I like that. Each deck has its unique way of speaking to us and will speak and come through in a very personal way to each other. we can all look at the same card and see so many different things. Absolutely.
Mhm.
One quick question, Scott. Do you read the books when you get a deck? Do you read
No,
what the author says?
no. I
I
used to though when I first was learning. I did because I wanted to learn what their different meanings of the cards were. But since I developed intuition, I like to use my intuition, and I rarely look at the tarot decks or the tarot books. What
yeah,
about you?
I don't either. I don't read the book of tarot or oracle. Um unless it's like a weird oracle deck that just has something random and you have no idea what they're trying to get across, but I normally don't resonate towards those decks. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel as a reader, um using your intuition is definitely going to give you that more pure reading. It's you're
Mhm.
connecting to your higher self, you're connecting to your spirit guides, you're getting that direct message versus reading someone else's interpretation of the card. I find that sometimes it was early on skewing what I was how my readings were going, because I was like trying to read someone else's version of the reading, if that makes sense, versus my own.
All right. Curtis is here. Hey,
So it-
Curtis.
Hello. Yeah, you can absolutely when you're learning um
Yeah,
to read the book. Just
yeah,
find one
I
that
did.
resonates for sure. But as you grow, I went nuts. And I started writing down. This is how insane I got when I was learning tarot. I went to I took a class. I went to like 50 different websites and I collated definitions because this is just how crazy I get when I'm doing research. I went and I wrote down every possible definition that I could find. And I got so overwhelmed because there's so many that I was like, how do people do this? How do people learn how to do readings when there's like 50 different um, definitions for this one card? How can I actually learn this? And then I just decided, well, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. This one doesn't resonate. And I just started like scratching out the ones that didn't feel true to me. And that's kind of how I got my um, wound up with my board. I made it like a vision board of tarot definitions, and that's kind of how I practice. It was pretty insane.
I had a tarot journal. I still have it. And I bought the little reflective Rider Waite cards and put them on each
Mm-hmm.
page, and then put the definitions of the upright and the definitions of reverse first, what I thought. And then as I would learn new ways of looking at the cards, I would write them down. So there's all these different pens being used, all these different colors, because it's not from one time, it's from
Mm-hmm.
several. And then I could go back and look and say, oh, that's what it is. That's what makes sense now, is this definition here. But it could mean something else completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Page after page of notes. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can, that's why people kind of say learning tarot is like a lifelong thing. You're always learning. You're always improving. You're always finding something new um, in the tarot. And that's why a lot of people um, have a one specific deck that they like to use, that they resonate with, because it kind of
Yeah.
makes it simpler in a way, because you have that connection to like Judy loves the light seers. Like this is her favorite deck to use. She has a really strong connection and the readings just come through really quickly with that deck versus trying out a different one. And that's another really good thing, is find one that you absolutely love.
Mhm.
Like for me, I gotta say, like this, I love this deck. I carry it with me in my purse. It's just a tiny Rider Waite. I love this deck. like I do not have any problems reading that one. It just really, it's stuck with me. And I like that I can keep it in my purse. Mm-mm. Yeah, I prefer getting my own reading of the cards, looking at the pictures and see what invokes me. Absolutely. I got overwhelmed when trying to remember about all the cards. Yeah, that's absolutely the best way to learn. And just know that there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong because the message that's supposed to come through is going to come through for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, just keep trusting your intuition. You keep the deck in your purse too? I love it. I started out with I have this tiny one. It was about half this size, but the lid fell off of the little case and they all got lost. But I love that deck. It's so fun. All right. I guess it is 3:13. I guess that closes us out for the day. So next week we've thought about going through, instead of picking just 4 cards, maybe going through the aces and how they differ, the twos, how they differ. Because we have a lot of the minor cards that we have not gone through yet. So I think that's what we'll do for our next show in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So if you have any, bring your questions. If you have any card suggestions and you want to let us know ahead of time, just put it in. You can put it in the comments of either of our shows if there's a specific card or a specific topic that you would like to talk about in the next show. That would be really helpful for us too, because we definitely want to cover topics that you would like to hear.
And Linda, it definitely will come to you if you just keep going, and even if it's a baby steps, you're still learning a little bit a day. It's one little meaning or one little intuitive hit. That's all it takes, and then you might be like Sarah and start having boards and sheets and all kinds of stuff everywhere. It's addictive.
It was nuts. She witnessed it because we took the same class. She witnessed it. What I would we're not doing next week. It's in 2 weeks. So we do it every other Tuesday, and then so it'll be, what day is that? Gotta pull the calendar up. You have your calendar up, Scott?
I'm going there. That would be July Tuesday 7th.
Yeah, so July 7th will be the next Learn Tarot class.
Yeah, I've already got it down for 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 2 o'clock Pacific.
2 Pacific. And what I wanted to say something to, I totally when I was learning, I think I mentioned this in one of the previous classes, but when I was learning, I could not wrap my head around the court cards. Oh my gosh, they were my nemesis. And I said, okay, I'm just taking these suckers out of the deck because I don't want to deal with them. So if you're having trouble with specific cards, put them aside while you're learning. Just say, we're going to learn later. I'm going to practice with the cards I resonate with right now. And I'm going to just get used to doing the readings and feeling that confidence and then add those cards in later. So yeah, I struggled with the court cards for 7 months. They were not my friend. I could not absorb any information about them. And then I said, okay, so if the court cards come through upright, it's going to represent an archetype of the person. If they come through reversed, they're going to be a spirit guide coming through or used for mediumship. So I did that for a while. And now they're kind of more, I just use them as archetypes, basically.
Yeah, that's how I do them, archetypes.
Yeah. But it's okay to have cards that you don't resonate with,
Yep.
with at first. Just set them aside.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming in and hanging out with us today.
Yes, thank
And
you.
yes, we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Don't forget that you have to end the live because you're streaming it.
Oh, it's me. Bye, everybody.
Bye.